Hello and welcome. This is Cacti Twig. I'm just going to do a really quick video review of a clip from Kings vs. HeatStroke at Fill the Void in Charlotte. Team on white is the Kings. Team on black is HeatStroke. And this is definitely I think this is the first game of the tournament, so we definitely have had some things that have improved throughout the weekend, which is great. So looking here, the number one thing I'm seeing is a lack of cuts. We need to be aggressive and avert. So at this moment here, we need aggressive cuts one way or the other way, coming down. Usually we cut from the back. That's the thing we should be focusing on, just keeping the tempo going, which improved throughout the week. The next game we played was and that was just a. I remember from hearing there's a lot of drops here, so it's okay. Trying to set up here. So right now, what we got here is a flick force or a home force. What we established here is right here is the sideline with all of our stuff. Therefore, this is the home sideline, and the other side is the away sideline because it's the sideline that our stuff is not on. Or I guess that's over here. And or you can consider it a right hand flick versus a right hand backhand force, whatever you prefer. So we're forcing them backhand. So right now, the mark is going to basically, their responsibility is to prevent throws from going to this side of the field and allow throws to go to this side of the field. That way, as a downfield defender, we can know that if the receiver were to make a cut this way, you have to be in front of it because that throw is coming up for free. But if your receiver cuts to the break side or the side that we're closing off from the mark, it's okay if you're a step behind it because the throw is going to be super floaty. We'll cover it a lot, but that's just the high level of it. So yeah, so that defense there was really great. The number one priority here is from our defender here is do not like leave an uncontested throw to that open side of the field because you're on an island there. So that was a really good defense. And then here you saw that throw went up and the mark did not try to stop it. And the same thing here. I think, yeah, sorry, that bugged out. Anyway, next point. Just making this real quick one. So, big oof. So as we come up here, I'll try to get a better video of it. Two things that I'm observing. Number one, I would like to see cuts start earlier. As a cutter, you don't have to wait until the thrower has the disc to start moving. You can actually start your cut before the thrower's fully ready, especially from the beginning there. Because that way, if the thrower is here and then looks up and you're in motion here, he can go ahead and throw it if he wants. And then also, the number one most important thing is as a cutter, you need to be decisive about one side or the other. It's basically just a box drill where for what we've done, where imagine there's a box here and a box here, or a box here and a box here, and basically just play box drill in one of those four boxes if you want to oversimplify it. So you got to commit to one of those because what happened here was the cutter started here, weaved through. So what's going to happen is your defender has to follow you. He's going to bump into someone and call a pick, which probably is what happened there. I wasn't on the field during this game. I was playing on another team from Ohio during this tournament. So yeah, it seems like that's what would have happened there. So all you have to really focus on there is just as you're going, pick one way or the other. You can't weave through a stack. That's pick city. That happens. Right, and that's good clear. Good. All looking good. So generally, we cut from the back of the stack for two reasons. Number one, you're the most imminent threat, so you have a more viable deep threats, so you can get unders easier. And two, when you cut from the middle, there can be confusion that causes picks. Trying to see, yeah. So right here, unfortunately, I can't go back frame by frame. So right here, the receiver's here, the defender is here. So when the receiver makes a cut this way, the defender, in order to follow, is going to have to go through this group, and that's going to be a pick basically every single time. So if you cut from the back, it's a lot easier because your defender can't be in that position, or you just run in a straight line and get a free touchdown. And I'll make a better visualization next time the stack is scooting along. All right, so basically right here, the reason that we're cutting from the back is as the receiver here, I do offense in yellow, defense in red. So the reason that this defender here is unable to get himself into a pickable situation is because if this defender had put himself over here, such that running to one side would cause a pick, he would be in such poor position because there's nobody behind to help him, so you would just run deep, and then the throw would go to you. Whereas in the middle of the stack, it's much less of a threat because you have way more setup, and there are other defenders that can recognize that and come help. And yeah, drops are the name of the game. And for me personally, I'm never really going to sit there and dog on someone for drops. Drops are something that you fix them through repetitions and practice. So keep your head up about drops as a whole. Obviously, work your butt off in practice to get better at them, but I'm not going to sit here and say anything about it during the video other than what I said. So right now, the force is flick. So what Dan's doing here is actually doing a relatively straight up force because the sideline is right here. So there's really no viable cuts that can happen for a throw to come around that way. So basically by doing more of a straight up mark, that might be a little bit too, I think it's too straight up of a mark in my opinion because it's probably going to allow a throw around to happen. But by doing more straight up, you can actually take away more. But basically, the mark's responsibility right now is to allow no throws to come up to this side of the field. So nothing like this should be coming up with tempo. If throws are going to come to that side of the field, but it needs to be like a high floaty. Yeah, so like right there, that was an issue with holding the force in that this throw came with tempo, so that and who is that? That might be Chris. I mean, I'm bad at identifying people. So right here, Chris was a step behind his receiver. The receiver is coming to the break side of the field. Our defender's one step behind, and that's actually okay. That's good defense fundamentally from downfield because you're trying to protect this side of this area, this space. Whereas the mark's job is to not allow a quick pass with tempo that makes that step matter. So if I mean, obviously defense is really hard in this sport, but if we have somebody here that's just like one step over, that throw would have to either be super loopy around or like a hammer or a scuba or something that's going to travel in the air a little bit longer and give Chris that time to make up that distance. And again, when I call people out, I'm not saying anybody's like a bad player by any means. It's just these are the learning opportunities that you get. So, I guess I didn't give that disclaimer, but that is how I feel about that. So I don't think anybody that I'm calling out is poor. So. There was a call in the field. I didn't actually see what the call was. We're gonna let things settle in. Good. One thing I would like to see is running through the disc. We talked about this in our last practice. So the receiver here actually stopped. You can see him arresting his momentum in preparation to catch the disc, but the defender is going to continue through the disc. So I would like to see the receiver continue all the way through the disc. Because here the defender didn't make a play on the disc. If the defender had just taken one step to his left, he could have bid through and potentially made a play on it. as a whole, I think this movement is good for I'm not gonna. I don't think there's anything really to talk about for the moment. One thing that's good to have is just more time or more aggressive cuts as far as time goes. There's a lot of space between cuts, so that basically the throw is only going to get one look between them. So that's something maybe to think about. Um, it's better to cut too much than not enough if you're, as we're learning. You'll get a feel for it as time goes on. So right here, the force is flick, and I'm only gonna really call it out a lot for this video and probably the next one about counting the force, unless that's my goal. So the purpose of this force is a force flick or a force away. So we don't. This is the open space of the field here. We're gonna allow throws to come up to that spot of the field, and we're not going to allow cuts to go around here and have those throws be for free. So like right there, that step around, that defender's behind because the defender has to trust the force to be able to make it possible. Because this game is super rigged against the defense. It's very offensive heavy. All right, so we are horizontal stack here. And yeah, there was some confusion on the cuts here. So one thing that we like to do in a horizontal stack is be 10 to 15 yards in front of the disc when we initiate our cuts. Excuse me. If we're 10 to 15 yards in front of the disc, you have a viable under and a viable deep. Maybe my perception there is a little off. I think maybe a little deeper. Maybe here, 10 to 15 yards out. So that whenever you go to make a cut, you can make an undercut and gain meaningful yards, or you can cut deep and have it be a viable deep throw that's not like an 80-yard bomb. Right here, I think the only problem was there was a miscommunication between the two cutters about who was doing what, so they kind of ran into each other. And then the throw came up with this guy poaching. This guy ended up poaching that lane, which, it's good to call that out if you see it. But that was the only thing that really happened there, that poach. We threw into a poach. So then here, it's again, is forced away. It was an away throw. Ooh, that was cool. Let's throw the foul. Rip. Yep, so the force is still going to be away. So we're going to have a nice tight, in theory, if this mark can hold its force properly, the only place the offense can really work the disc is a super narrow space here without the throw being high and floaty or high, high like that. That's going to give the defense plenty of time to catch up. Yeah, it's a great mark. He stumbled. Yeah, but that's actually the perfect example of a mark doing a good job. I mean, there's a little stumble, but this throw had to come up very loopy, and that throw gives a defender more time to catch up. And Emery did a great job blocking that lane there. Unfortunately, that throw did go up, but it's okay. It's a difficult sport, and it happens. Cliff. All right, getting my bearings. Yeah, okay, so they're vert, and they dropped it. And that works. Yep, so we're setting the stack. One thing that I saw in the first point that I didn't actually say is, as a team, we as the Kings are slow in setting up our sets when we start. So whenever there's a turnover or a point starts, we want to get there as quickly as we can and get cuts going immediately. We don't want to be lightly jogging to our spot. It's going to make it a lot harder to get the disc moving. Yeah, clear out a little earlier. If you see you're not getting the disc, just kind of peek out. It's okay. Yeah, so right here, I'm not seeing tempo and cuts here. I would like to see cuts happen more aggressively. Even if like right here we do like a break side cut out of that, I personally would like to see those cuts happen more aggressively. Yeah, and then one thing that's in my opinion is really important is to cut at least or clear at least as hard as you cut. So we had a good cut under. The throw didn't come up because this guy right here was in a poachy spot. So, but then the clear here ended up happening kind of slowly, and it prevented the next guy from following him as comfortably as we would like. Because your defender is going to stay in that space and be annoying for that. What are they doing? They're going horizontal here, and the force is away. Yeah, and unfortunately that break throw. I guess that was. I'm not really upset about that. That was a circus catch that was necessary there, but that break throw did come off, which in theory is what we're hoping to prevent or minimize, if nothing else. Yep. So whenever the offense is able to swing the disc, when the excuse me, when the offense is capable of moving the disc over to the break side of the field, bad things happen to the offense. Whenever the disc is on the break side, it's very difficult to defend. Whereas when the disc is on the force side, the windows are much more narrow for the offense, and it's more advantageous for the defense. Which that was just a run right through us. Yeah, and just miscues and misthrows, which is fine. It's a first time tournament. Those things are going to happen. We can work those out. That's a great mark. Great commitment to the mark and holding that force. Right now the force is home. Yeah, great job by Dan there, holding that force. Yep. So then the only thing that really happened there was they're making a strike cut to the open side of the field. The defender's a step behind, and because this is a throw that's going to be able to come up, that's just going to result in a completion. Which is fine. I mean, it happens, but that's something as a defense we want to be taking away as much as possible. So here we're already set. This right here is a much better tempo in my opinion. We're already set in vert stack. We're already moving early. But a little miscommunication there about what was going on there, but that's okay. Good job initiating the other handler and then committing to that other handler to allow them to make a play. So right here, what needs to happen, this should be a turnover. Yeah, so what happened here, as the X in the stack, if you're in the front of the stack, it is your responsibility to be monitoring what's happening with the other mark. And if this mark makes their cut and then is unable to get open, then it becomes your responsibility to work as another handler and either get to this open space or pump this way, make the defender commit to stop you, and then come back around for a reset. Basically, it's your job to be that bailout. And because that didn't happen, there was just nowhere to go with the disc. It was probably still 8 or 9. You had to throw it. So it's all good though. But that's just something where when you are the X, you are burdened with a little bit of extra responsibility that you need to be keeping an eye on to keep that offense flowing. Because with only one other handler, it's that's gonna happen. So anyway, real quick, quick to the point. It's 20-minute video. That's all I got really. Just some first impressions on what we saw. As the tournament went on, the Kings, your gameplay definitely improved a lot, and I'm super happy with how it went out. So that's all I got. Until next time, take care.